My husband started an affair, hoping I'd find out and leave. One day, a stranger messaged me, "Your husband said you're crazy and controlling. He's leaving you soon." I laughed and replied, "That's funny. He just signed a mortgage with me yesterday." That night, I waited until he got home and casually said, "Pack your bags." "But the house? It's mine now." He turned white as I showed him what he just lost. I've been married to my husband, Daniel, for almost 8 years. We met in college, UT Austin. He was charming, funny, driven. I was 21 and naive. We moved to Houston after graduation and bought our first apartment near Montrose. Life moved fast, jobs, marriage, routine. I worked as a freelance graphic designer from home, and he climbed up fast in a financial firm downtown. About a year ago, I noticed him pulling away. At first, I thought I was imagining it. He started working later hours. The excuses were always the same: client dinners, emergencies, late meetings. But it wasn't just the hours, it was the way he looked at me. Or didn't. The conversations turned into one-word answers. I felt like I was living with a stranger. Still, I brushed it off. I blamed stress, burnout. I thought maybe we'd just hit a rough patch. Then things got weirder. He started locking his phone. He'd flinch when I walked by and he was texting. Once, he even took his phone into the shower with him. That's when I knew something was going on. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I waited. One Friday night, while he was in the shower, I saw his phone on the nightstand. Notifications were off, but something told me to look. The passcode hadn't changed, and I opened it. What I found made my stomach drop. There was a woman, Jessica. Their messages went back months. It wasn't just casual flirting. This was full-blown emotional and physical cheating. He called her baby. He told her things he hadn't said to me in years. They'd met up in hotels. Once, he even brought her into our apartment while I was in Dallas visiting my parents. The timestamp on a message showed it happened the same night I called him to say goodnight. I took screenshots of everything. My hands were shaking. I didn't cry, I was numb. I felt like my chest had been cracked open. The worst part? She wasn't even the first. I later found older messages with another woman, months before Jessica. Patterns. Lies. More lies. This wasn't a mistake. This was who he really was. I didn't confront him right away. I wanted to be smart. I acted normal. I cooked dinner. We had small talk. Meanwhile, I was quietly preparing. I pulled bank statements, copied down every financial detail I could find. I started talking to a lawyer friend. And most importantly, I set a trap. A week later, we signed a new mortgage on a bigger house in the Heights. Daniel was all in, talking about backyard barbecues and a future. He had no idea I already knew everything. I let him sign. He smiled as he handed me the pen. I felt sick. Then something unexpected happened. A few nights later, I got a Facebook message from someone I didn't know. His name was Mark. His message said, "Your husband said you're crazy and controlling. He's leaving you soon." I just stared at it. I felt this weird calm come over me. I replied, "That's funny. He just signed a mortgage with me yesterday." No reply. That was the final straw. I printed out the texts, the mortgage papers, and the Facebook message. I waited for him to get home. He walked in like everything was normal. Dropped his keys. Loosened his tie. I sat on the couch and waited. He noticed the stack of papers and tilted his head. "What's this?" he asked. I looked at him and said calmly, "Pack your bags." "But the house? It's mine now." His face drained of color. I handed him the printouts, one by one. The texts with Jessica. The screenshots. The message from Mark. And finally, the mortgage. His signature, locking him into a 30-year deal he just handed over to me. He didn't speak for a full minute. Then he sat down and said, "Sarah, I can explain, don't." I cut him off. "You were hoping I'd find out, weren't you? You wanted out, but you didn't have the balls to leave." He looked at the floor. Silent. I told him I'd give him 2 days to get out. No fighting. No drama. Just go. I'd already spoken to a lawyer. The house was in both our names, but I had leverage. I had everything. I had the texts. I had the betrayal. I had proof he brought his mistress into our home. He tried to guilt-trip me. Said I was being cold. That I didn't understand. That we could fix it. I told him fixing it would have meant not cheating. That cheating wasn't an accident. That I didn't miss the old him because I never knew the real him to begin with. And you know what he said? "I didn't think you'd actually look." Let that sink in. This man was gambling with our marriage, our future, our home. Because he assumed I'd never check. There's more. A lot more. But I'll stop here for now. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought telling him to leave, handing him the evidence, and watching him walk out the door would be the worst part. It wasn't. 2 days later, Daniel packed his things. No apology. No tears. Just silence. He barely looked at me as he wheeled his suitcase out. I watched from the kitchen. My hands were shaking, but I didn't let him see it. When the door closed behind him, I exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. Then came the quiet. Too quiet. The house felt empty. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the ceiling, feeling this weird mix of relief and rage. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was too wired. The next day, things got strange. Jessica messaged me. I didn't even know she knew who I was. Her message was short: "You got what you wanted. I hope you're happy." He loved me. I stared at it for a while before responding. He lied to both of us. You just believed it longer. She didn't reply. But it didn't end there. Over the next week, I started getting weird phone calls. Hang-ups. Then voicemails with nothing but breathing. I don't scare easy, but something about it felt off. I called Daniel and asked him if he was behind it. He laughed. Paranoid, much? I hung up. 2 days later, I got a call from my bank. Someone tried to access my account using my social security number. They failed the security questions, but it triggered a fraud alert. I had to freeze everything: cards, online banking, everything. That's when it hit me: he was trying to mess with me. He wasn't just done. He was bitter. Angry. He didn't expect me to fight back. And then I got the email. From a burner address. No name. No signature. You made a mistake. You think this is over. It's not. I took it to the police. They shrugged. Said it could be anyone. I forwarded it to my lawyer instead. She told me to start documenting everything. Every message, every call, every strange thing. I installed cameras around the house. I changed my locks. I started looking over my shoulder when I left for groceries. And then came the real twist. A week later, I was cleaning out the closet, his side, finally clearing it out. I found an old lockbox tucked behind a stack of shirts. I knew the code: it was his old college ID number. I opened it, expecting maybe old documents or receipts. Instead, I found cash. A thick stack of it. Maybe $7,000. And under that, a burner phone. My heart was racing. I turned it on. There were texts. Dozens of them. Not just to Jessica. But to other women. At least 3 different names. Some of them recent. Some dated back over a year. He had full conversations, planned meetups, even dirty photos. But that wasn't the worst part. One of the messages was to a contact just saved as M. The text read, "She's finally biting. The plan's working. If she kicks me out, I'll play the victim. Just like we said." I stared at the screen, rereading that over and over. The plan? What plan? I dug deeper. And I found it. Daniel had been talking to someone, this M, about our finances. Our joint accounts. The mortgage. He was trying to set me up. Make me look unstable. He even mentioned trying to get me to react violently so he could use it in court. Said something about pushing her to snap. It wasn't just cheating. It was a setup. He wanted me to snap. So he could leave, take the house, and spin the story in his favor. Maybe even try to go after my freelance income, thinking he'd get alimony or some kind of settlement. This man I married, he wasn't just unfaithful. He was dangerous. I took the phone and the money straight to my lawyer. She was stunned. Said she'd never seen something so calculated. She started building a case, documenting everything. We filed for divorce immediately. Emergency hearing. Protective order. We weren't taking chances. And yet, even now, I can't sleep. Not because I miss him. Because I wonder how long he was pretending. How long was he smiling in my face while plotting behind my back? Every photo on our wall, every memory, suddenly felt fake. Like he'd just been waiting for the right moment to flip the script. And maybe he still is. He doesn't know I found the burner phone yet. He doesn't know I have the messages. He thinks I'm still playing catch-up. But I'm not. I'm 10 steps ahead now. And I'm not done. So now I knew. It wasn't just about cheating. It wasn't just emotional betrayal. Daniel had a plan. One that involved ruining me, flipping the story, and walking away clean. And this M person? I needed to know who they were. I gave the burner phone to my lawyer, and she brought in someone who could pull metadata. Within a few days, they tracked the number. It belonged to Marissa, Daniel's coworker. I had met her once. Briefly. At a work dinner. She wore too much perfume and kept giggling at everything Daniel said. I thought she was annoying. I didn't know she was dangerous. Turns out, she wasn't just a friend. She was his first affair. The one he had before Jessica. She was older, had some connections in his company, and had a lot to gain if Daniel's life changed drastically: new position, new house, new financial freedom. They were in it together. Helping each other. He promised her the future. A life without crazy Sarah. He fed her lies, that I was controlling, depressed, violent. He'd apparently been planting seeds for months, quiet comments to friends, even subtle digs in social circles. He even told our mortgage officer that I was a little emotional, but it's fine, just in case anything looked weird during paperwork. Everything was planned. Except me finding out early. Except me staying calm. The night I told him to pack his bags? That was supposed to be the night I'd scream, throw things, maybe even hit him. Something they could use against me. But I didn't. I was too calm. And they didn't know what to do with that. Then things got worse. Daniel filed a motion in court claiming I was mentally unstable. He used old text arguments between us, out of context, to try and prove I was unfit to manage our shared finances. He wanted the house sold. He wanted half of everything. But he made a mistake. A big one. He attached a statement to his motion, something about me losing control last October. Claimed I had a breakdown. The problem? I had receipts, actual receipts, from a girl's trip to Colorado that week. Flight stubs, Airbnb bookings, Instagram stories. I wasn't even in Texas. His entire claim fell apart. The judge was suspicious. His lawyer looked embarrassed. Then came the second twist. Jessica, his other mistress, showed up at my doorstep. I didn't know what to do. She looked terrible. Skinny. Tired. She said she'd broken up with Daniel weeks ago. She said he'd told her I was abusive. That I cheated first. That I kept him in the marriage with threats of self-harm. She was crying. She said she believed him until she saw an email he forgot to log out of. In it, he was messaging Marissa. Planning a vacation. While still living with her. That's when she realized everything he said was a lie. She handed me a flash drive. Said she saved screenshots. Emails. Voice memos. She didn't want anything from me. Just to tell me, face to face, she was sorry. That she'd been used. I took the drive. I thanked her. Closed the door. Locked it. And cried. Not for him. Not for her. For me. For the version of me that loved a man who didn't exist. The flash drive? Gold mine. In one voice memo, he actually says, once I get her to sign the asset waiver, it's smooth sailing. She's emotional. She'll crack. I just have to nudge her. He planned to gaslight me into giving up my rights. He even rehearsed what he'd say in court. I'm worried for her mental health. She threatened to disappear. I have no choice but to step in. He was rehearsing lies. Practicing pain. But I had it all now. The texts. The voice memos. The burner phone. Jessica's screenshots. And I wasn't staying quiet anymore. The court hearing was set for Friday morning at 9:30. Downtown Houston Courthouse. I hadn't seen Daniel face to face since the day I told him to pack his things. That day, I sat on my hands to keep them from shaking. This day, I didn't have to. I walked in with my lawyer, a flash drive in her hand. Inside, texts, burner phone logs, Jessica's screenshots, voice memos. Every piece of the puzzle. I wore black. Not for drama. Just because it felt right. He was already there. Smirking. Wearing a navy suit like he was about to pitch a deal. He didn't even flinch when he saw me. His lawyer whispered something to him, and he gave this fake concerned face, like he was worried about me. They started with Daniel's motion. His side painted a picture of a crumbling woman. Unstable, controlling, impulsive. His lawyer read texts where I had yelled at him once about missing dinner. They made me sound like a ticking bomb. Then it was my turn. My lawyer stood up, silent for a second, before sliding the flash drive to the clerk. Your Honor, we have supplemental evidence, she said. The clerk inserted it. The courtroom projector lit up. The first slide, a screenshot of Daniel texting Marissa, laughing about how I'd bought the house for him. The second slide, the voice memo. She's emotional. She'll crack. I just have to nudge her. His voice echoed in the room. The smirk dropped. His lawyer's face went white. The judge raised an eyebrow. Is that your voice, Mr. Alton? Daniel stammered, I don't remember saying that. It was taken out of context. My lawyer clicked again. This time, the memo where he said he was rehearsing lies. Dead silence. I turned to look at him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Then came the cherry on top, Jessica's testimony. She had agreed to show up. Walked in wearing flats and a plain sweater. Sat down, hands folded in her lap. She didn't even look at Daniel. He lied to both of us, she said. I thought I was his only one. I thought he was escaping abuse. I didn't know he was telling another woman the same things. Daniel finally spoke. Loudly. You're all insane. This is character assassination. She's bitter. You're all bitter, the judge banged the gavel. Mr. Alton, one more outburst and you'll be removed. He shut up, red-faced and breathing hard. The courtroom wasn't on his side anymore. His lawyer leaned in and whispered. He just nodded, blinking fast. The judge ruled immediately. Emergency protective order, granted. Temporary sole ownership of the house, granted. All joint assets frozen until full review. Daniel stormed out. Didn't look back. I walked out with Jessica. We stood outside for a moment, under the hot Texas sun, and just stared at the street. She looked tired. I felt it too. He's a good actor, she said. Yeah, I replied. But the show's over. She smiled a little, and we went our separate ways. Daniel tried to spin it online. Told some mutual friends I sabotaged him. That I was jealous of his success. But people weren't buying it. His reputation at work took a hit. HR got wind of it. And Marissa? She ghosted. Quit a week later. Quietly. I heard he moved into a cheap apartment in Katy. Last I heard, he's on probation at work for behavioral concerns. He hasn't tried to contact me directly. But sometimes, late at night, I imagine what he tells himself. That I was the villain. That he didn't deserve this. That he was just unlucky. But I know better. He dug this hole. He buried the version of me that trusted him. That believed him. And now, all that's left is truth. Sharp and cold. I'm in the house. My house. I painted the walls. Tore down every picture of us. Adopted another dog. Luna and Max. They sleep on my bed now. I sleep better. I still go to therapy. Not because I'm broken. But because I want to stay unbroken. Jessica and I talk now and then. We don't call it friendship. We just survived the same storm. My parents stopped asking if I'd ever date again. And I stopped wondering. There's peace in not needing someone else to fix it. The lesson? If someone shows you their mask, watch their hands too. Some people don't want love. They want control. They'll wrap it in charm and pretty words. But underneath, they're just scared cowards. And me? I'm not scared anymore. Not of him. Not of starting over. Not of being alone. Just know, you didn't break me. You exposed yourself. And now everyone knows who you really are.